Hey everyone, Rich here, and this is Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart on PlayStation 5 taken to the next level, in frame rate terms at least, running effectively locked at 120 frames per second using the game's Performance RT mode. Out of the box of course, Ratchet operates with a 30 FPS fidelity mode, rich in resolution, ray tracing and well sheer density. Performance mode nips and tucks at the presentation for 60 FPS, while the Performance RT mode here makes further compromises to core resolution but retains the beautiful ray trace reflections. RT seems to be a core part of the art, 60 FPS plays best, so Performance RT is in our opinion the way this game should be played, but 120 frames per second, that's what you're seeing here. So how have we achieved this magic? What I can say is that this is 100% the output of the PlayStation 5. Beyond that though, this is part of an ongoing research project here at Digital Foundry. Last month, Patreon supporters got a 120 frames per second test file to test for validation on a range of screens and devices, so we know that delivering videos like this is possible, and now with this video we know the challenges in authoring high frame rate material, plus how to edit with it in the Adobe Premiere Pro timeline. What we still lack is a 4K 120 frames per second capture card, which leads us directly to how this video was possible, because obviously it wasn't captured at 4K 120, and of course Ratchet doesn't even have a 120 frames per second Performance RT mode. What it does have is a range of simply brilliant accessibility features, and one of them allows you to slow the game down to 30, 50 or 70% speed. If we capture at 4K 60 with the game running at half speed, then literally double the playback rate of the capture within Premiere, we get 4K 120. No PS6 or PS5 Pro required. There are some slight issues in that Premiere lets you edit at 120 frames per second, but doesn't allow you to export the video at 120 frames per second, but it's a relatively simple if slightly annoying fix. Also at the capture phase, well, the cutscenes still run at full speed. The sequence that kicks off this video actually runs mostly at half speed, but with some full speed flashes I corrected via motion interpolation in Adobe After Effects. Of course, having this ability to effectively show the game running at 2x frame rate also means that there's nothing really stopping us doing the same thing with the 4K fidelity mode, and to double the frame rate there to 60 frames per second, which might be an interesting mini project to look into at some point. But in the meantime, going back to the process of making this video, I actually think that if you own the game, you should consider popping into the accessibility menu and running the game at half speed. What you get is an opportunity to better savour the artistic accomplishment, not to mention that you can better appreciate the quality of the animation in this game, which really is sensational. Obviously, it also makes the game a fair bit easier, which is precisely the point in delivering an inclusive experience for people from a wide range of backgrounds. We're just exploiting that mode for our own, dare I say it, nefarious ends. But the same slowdown tools are available in other games like Uncharted 4 and The Last of Us Part 2, the latter of which could also be used as the basis of a 120 frames per second video. But yeah, just to stress, while this is a high frame rate video, it's not a real-time 120 frames per second gameplay experience. It's just that we have the ability here to exploit the slow motion mode, run it at 2x speed, and reproduce what the effect would be if the game were running at this very high frame rate. And this is still early research here at DF. This test period for 120 FPS video has also thrown up some interesting compatibility issues with playback devices, and that's where our Patreon supporters have proven so helpful in addressing just what hardware can play back the files. The easiest solution would be a PC connected to a high refresh rate display. Hardware decode in something like Media Player Classic Home Cinema works a treat. This video should also play back on 4K 120 devices, including HDMI 2.1 TVs. Just copy the file to a USB stick, plug and play. HDMI 2.0 screens, devices like 120Hz smartphones and iPad Pros, stuff like that, they may require running the other download variants that we have for this video. 120Hz at 1440p and 1080p. And that's why the digitalfoundry.net download page has those options. They are all downscaled versions of the 4K 120 asset designed to ensure that 120Hz content is available to as many playback devices as possible. But that's it. That's Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart on PlayStation 5, demonstrated running at 120 FPS, and I really hope you enjoyed the presentation. As ever, thanks for watching and supporting Digital Foundry. And of course, thanks for helping out in our efforts to experiment a little in research projects like this one.